So let's say you want to create the game, and this is your enemy, and this is your player. You want your enemy to follow your player. How would you do that? So what we need is a vector that it's going to point from A to B. What we need to go from point A to point B, what we need to do is subtract B minus A. So we're going to get a new vector, let's say it's C, which is going to be B minus A. So what is a vector? A vector can be defined as a quantity. A vector has a direction. So this is the direction of the vector. And the vector is a magnitude as well. So the length of the vector is called the magnitude. I'm just going to write mag. So let's say we have a vector A, which is equal to, so this is the x component of the vector, and this is the y component of the vector. And then we have a vector B, which is 2 and 1. So vector C is going to be equal to the 4 minus 2 and 3 minus 1. I'm just actually subtracting. It's just x minus x and y minus y. So we get a resultant vector, which is going to be equal to 2 and 2 actually. So let's say you have a vector A, pointing in this direction, and you have a vector B, So vector B is pointing in this direction. So we want to do A minus B. So when we're subtracting vectors, the vector that is being subtracted in this case, which is B, it needs to change the direction. So if B was going this way, it needs to go this way. If it was going this way, we always need to change when we subtracting vectors. So let's draw the vector A. So vector A, which is pointing in this direction, right? So let's say the vector B is still pointing in the same direction. What we have to do actually is change the direction of B to point here. So you will get a resultant vector. So this is the new B, right? A resultant vector pointing from A to B. So they are in the same direction right now. So let me just make this better a little bit. So this is going from A to B. And now clean this. Remember to always change the direction of the vector that is being subtracted. So you get this vector. It can be called, I don't know, C like that. So let's say we have a vector here, So this is 2 on the x and 7 on the y. And we have another vector. Let's say we have a vector here at this point, which is 5 on the x is 5 on the x and 5 on the y. So this is point A, this is point B. So let's do B minus A. So first, the x component. So 2 minus 5, we're gonna get minus 3. And then we do 7 minus 5, we're gonna get 2. So let's go to point A. Let's move minus 3 on the x. So 1, 2, 3. And then let's move 2 up. 1, 2. You can see that we get a vector pointing from here to here, actually. Now, so let's go to our processing sketch. Let's make our enemy follow the player. So we need a setup. Void draw. Let's put the size, say 720 by 720, and then the background will be black. Just see. Let's create a class which is say enemy. So we have class enemy. So we're gonna create the vector. Let's say pose, which is gonna be the position, and a vector for the velocity, and a vector for the acceleration. So let's say that we have an enemy constructor, and we're gonna say we need to initialize this. So position is equal to new p vector. I'm gonna put it at width divided by 2, height divided by 2. So we're gonna put it in the middle, and then val is equal to new p vector 0, 0. Acceleration is a new p vector, which is 0, 0. So let's create void display. I'm gonna draw an ellipse at pose dot x, pose dot y. Let's say 60 by 60. And then we're gonna fill it with red. So this is 5, 0, 0. Then let's move it. Create a void up update. So player. So let's say that our player will be our mouse position. So I'm gonna create a p vector. So let's say player, which will be equal to p vector. We put mouse x position, and the mouse my position. So let's create that vector C, which is going to be the direction. Let's say D. It's going to be equal to P vector dot sub. So we want to move from point A to point B. So from enemy to player. So we need to do player minus the position of the enemy. So now we have a direction. So first thing we need to do is to normalize the vector. So normalizing a vector is dividing the vector by its magnitude. So the length of the vector will be 1. The vector d dot normalize. So the vector is normalized right now. Now we have the direction pointing at the mouse position at the player. So what we want to do actually is say that our acceleration is equal to the direction. We need to add it slowly, because if we don't add it slowly, it's just gonna teleport from his position to, I'll show you after. So let's say acceleration. Now we need to say that velocity dot add this acceleration, right? And then actually we need to say velocity dot add acceleration, if I'm not mistaken, and then let's limit the speed. So val dot limit to 4, and then we do our position dot add this velocity. Now let's go to the main class. So player, let's initialize this. It's not player, it's enemy. So enemy. So enemy equal to new enemy. So we're gonna call enemy dot display enemy dot update. So let's draw an ellipse at the mouse position. So you can see y 60 by 60. I'm gonna fill it with white, so 255. So you can see the vector subtraction happening. It's gonna follow me. See. So let's do some changes in here. So let's take, so first, let's take the normalize function. You can see when he gets to the point, kind of like shaking. So when we normalize the vector, so let's make this smaller. Make this by 20 by 20. You can see it's kind of shaky. So if we normalize it, the magnitude is going to become 1. You can see it's more like smooth. So let's do something else here. So let's say we